So I like playing games, and I don't like them playing on my own because sometimes they need a two-player, so I'm just like, come here and play this game with me.
So for the final part of our trilogy, we have from Nickelodeon, we have Nina Hahn, who is Senior Vice President of International Production and Development, and we have James Newton, who is VP of Programming UK and Ireland. And James, you're a few months into that job, right? So
nearly a few
months.
I think it's 2.5 months, so I'm the newbie here today.
Okay, so if we can give him a real grilling. No,
cheers.
I'm kidding, James. No, it's brave of you to stand up and tell us what you're up to and so forth. So thank you for joining us. Rather than me reading something out, why don't you just very quickly explain what it is both of you do and your roles? Nina.
After you.
Yeah, okay, so so I head up production development, and we have a team based in London, and really the main goal of our group is to create sort of a creative global quilt across production development, where we look, find, source content creators, producers, locations that we stitch together and sort of work under the notion that we can make a piece of content anywhere and use it everywhere across the Nickelodeon brand. So we spend a lot of time trying to sort of build ourselves as a home and a sort of a hotel for all the creators to come and thrive and be able to support the Nick brand and create content that sort of jives with our brand.
And James.
So I'm responsible for content across all of our UK channels, Nickelodeon, Nicktoons, Nick Jr. and Nick Jr. 2. In addition to that, all our non-linear content, so on-demand and box sets and how we plan that. On top of that, I'm responsible for media planning so that we tell our audiences where our shows are at the right time in the right place. And also I'm responsible for the digital platforms, so our websites, our app and YouTube channel.
And it seems from looking at the previous, some of the content from the other channels, guys, that there's a very strong profile. You can tell what a Disney show is, and same with Turner. For Nick, what defines what it is you do in terms of the content?
I think we're going to talk about that in a little bit more detail, but I'll talk through sort of briefly our demo targets that we're looking for each channel. So, I mean, across the channels and services that we provide, we're really looking to cater for kids from nappies all the way through to skinny jeans. The younger channels, Nick Jr. and Nick Jr. 2, that target is 2 to 6-year-old kids, but the sweet spot is really a 4-year-old kid. Nicktoons has a sort of a broad target of kids 4 to 9, but the bullseye there for us is a sort of a 7-year-old boy. And Nickelodeon, the broad target is 7 to 12-year-old kids, but the focal target there is about a 10-year-old girl. But we've also recently launched Nick at Night on Nickelodeon to stretch that target to teens and tweens, 11 to 15-year-old kids.
Why did Nick at Night launch? What was the thing? Is that something that had been a while in? James, you're new in, but is that something that had been a while in the offing?
Yeah, I think research told us that that particular audience were currently underserved. So there was a big opportunity for us. So we've created a zone from 7 p.m. Has a mix of content that we're trying out over the next few months, but within that there's also kind of an in-house produced daily bulletin, which is called The Scoop, and that features sort of music, entertainment, celebrity, tech, sport, really everything that those kind of kids are into, and that's fully supported with a website too, where kind of kids can engage with more and more content.
Over time, might that be a place where you'll be looking to commission?
I think it's possible. I think what we're really trying to find out first is kind of what works, to really understand what type of content is going to work in that zone, and that really will inform what we do in the long term.
So teens and tweens, what's the upper end of?
So the upper end is 15, but I think once again that sort of bullseye is around the 12 to 13-year-old girl. I mean, this is kind of mainly girls we're talking to, but it's kind of important to point out that we're not excluding any kind of gender in any of our channels, even if we have a kind of specific target. That's not our aim.
So that's a great setup of the channels in the UK, demos and such like. But back to the previous question, what's the kind of the defining the through line that all of the shows will have?
So it's funny, we brought a slide with us actually, which is up behind me, because we get that question a lot, and obviously it's asked of all the networks. What is the brand? What makes a Nick show? What makes a Disney show? And we thought it would be helpful to create this kind of visual recipe, which is what this is behind me, and it gives you a sense of, for us, what is Nick, and how the creative filters that every Nick show needs to have, no matter what platform it is airing on. And like any recipe, if you don't have one thing or you don't have another, it doesn't work. So for us, really, it's important in whatever measure you have them that the content that you're looking to create for us is representative of the brand. And I think I won't walk through every single one of these bubbles, but really, the first and foremost piece, I know David talked about it at Disney as well, is kids first. It's very important for us to feel like we create content that speaks to kids and is everywhere kids are. And we do that by a number of reasons. Ways we do it through research, both on our shows and also just general trending research, so that we have a sense of what they're looking for and how they consume the content. The other side of that Kids First piece is to be incredibly authentic, based in and grounded in something real to them, in something meaningful to them, that you then can sort of blast off from and make it even better. So we really make content that is kind of their world, only better. So finding what that entry point is and then sort of moving off from that. Across a lot of these different pieces, you've got obviously the global piece, you've got the fun piece, and the fun piece is something that is really an earmark of Nickelodeon that we all know and love very well. And I think even in recent years, we've always been about the funny, and we've really added this element about being just plain fun, because fun can come in sort of a lot of different ways and a lot of different, patterns, and we take time to sort of figure out what element is going to resonate with kids across the preschool block or across the big Nick side. But that piece is really important for us. The global piece is really interesting for us. We fly one Nick flag, and it's really, we do have words of international and domestic, but we very much are about making content, as I said earlier, once and using it everywhere. And we source that content in a lot of different ways through a lot of different programs, as well as across the sort of 160 plus Nick channels around the world. So we're very active in finding creator-driven content that can have global and local relevance as it goes through its pipe.
And James, let's come to you. If that's the global recipe, are the ingredients to torture that analogy the same for the UK as well, or does it need to be tweaked slightly?
Well, I'll drill down a little bit, but that recipe is international. So it's the UK's recipes, it's every territory's recipes. So we've got consistency in everything that we do. Just to kind of add a bit of sort of flavour by channel, for, I suppose, when we talk about the personalities of our individual channels. We talk about sort of Nick Jr. and Nick Jr. 2. It's playful, it's adventurous, it's imaginative, and it's fun and funny, as Nina says. Fun can come in very different, many different guises. For Nicktoons, it's absolutely funny. That's what we do. We want it to be the funniest channel on TV. It's silly, it's catchy, it's very, very animated. And for Big Nick, Nickelodeon, what that is kind of what we're looking for, and the personality is very relevant. It's confident. It's once again fun and funny, and can relate to the audiences that are really watching that channel.
So if we've got a sense of what each of you do, I guess producers need to know how you work together. Does that mean that a pitch could come to you, Nina, or equally could come to you, James? What are the commissioning, the mechanics of commissioning, I guess?
We have a five-step program for how to get through the wheel of it all. But yes, I mean, content. First of all, we have rolling content, so great ideas like the weather can come anytime in any way, and we try to hammock however they come in to have a way to develop them forward, whether it's a short, whether it's a scripted development, whatever it may be, so that we can get liftoff quite quickly. But really, in terms of the ease of content being pitched, you can pitch your ideas up via email to that email address up above.
So that comes into it, sort of to us. It will be logged. And sort of anything that comes in, we aim to get back to you, realistically within 3 months, but hopefully sooner, once it's been kind of duly considered.
We also have in the audience Alexi Wheeler, who's somewhere. Raise your hand. Yes. So Alexi is on our team, runs the animation group, and we've just hired a head of live action, Charlie Valentine, who's not here today because she's on set, actually. So those are two other people who are in the international group who, again, work very closely with the local group as port of call for you to pitch your content in. And once the content comes in, we have a very calculated process and timing for how it goes through the system, whereby once the project is submitted, we run it through an international review board, which takes across about 2 weeks, and then we respond to you within that time as to what we feel like could be the right direction for the content.
So to Nina, you need a degree of buy-in from lots of the international channels around, or how does that international piece kind of make decisions?
Yeah, I don't think it's so much buy-in, but it's much more about being, again, relevant to all kids everywhere and making content that we feel like is going to speak to them all. So having representatives of all of the regions in that process to react authentically allows us to make an educated bet on what we feel is going to be relevant.
What's coming through very clearly is that you've got a very international outlook. You want something that's going to work everywhere. Is the flip side of that if something is very local, you may not be the best place to go? If something is very UK for whatever given reason.
We have space for the local as well, obviously, across the acquisition side of things as well.
Yeah, we do. And there is a history where sometimes you think it's too local, but actually it does expand into local territory. I mean, Peppa Pig is the best example of that.
Yeah.
You could probably think that's very British, kind of in its kind of presentation, but no, it's got global appeal.
And ideas come, in different stages and different forms. What are the tips you can give creative companies, producers, in terms of how best to pitch and how best to kind of get the salient points across to you?
Well, I was going to say, firstly, look at our channels. So look at our channels, look at our output, get the tone, get the feel of the channels, understand the content that's kind of working there, and what we're delivering, so that when you come to us, you've built that show to fit our channel and our channel needs.
Yeah, and I think really the big tag for us is early intervention. I mean, showing us napkin art is great. It's what we love. We can then engage in a conversation with you as to what we feel like would be the relevant direction for it to go in. When things are, super, super developed, it's often difficult to sort of have a reaction to it and say, we're already doing a show about a donkey or whatever it may be. So I think having the conversations early and thinking of us as a port of call for that partnership to evolve.
With that international outlook, is it important that you have a kind of full suite of international rights?
Yeah, well, it's different for every project, as the others have said, right?
I mean, the sort of rights are evolving all the time due to technology, so we need those rights to get that show and the content to wherever kids are.
We were talking about this with the other guys, do you expect there to be a sense of where something can go in the digital component to a pitch now, or is that something that can be thought about later after linear?
Well, yeah. I mean, the key thing is really the linear show. If it comes with kind of 360 elements, that's great. But if it doesn't, that's okay as well. We can develop those along the way.
And of course, Nick is part of Viacom, as is Channel 5. This is a long way round, as is Milkshake.
We knew where you were going.
Yeah, okay. I got there eventually. Does that mean, or there must be opportunities for you guys to work together? So you've got kind of the free-to-air piece and then the pay piece.
Exactly. Well said. That's exactly how it works. And we are integrated wholly, although the Milkshake brand remains the Milkshake brand, and it goes through its needs, asks, wants creatively, as does the Nick Jr. So creatively, they have sometimes sort of separate creative goals, and other times they can be cohesive. And we have a lot of stuff airing on Milkshake that airs on Nick Jr. and vice versa. So,
but something like Nell of the Night was that a co-production between? How is that structured?
Yes, so that was when the first project that we announced as a co-production together with Milkshake, and it is now in production. We actually have a clip which we can show you. Again, a great example of making use of local soil, producing here in the UK. We produced this with Brown Bag, who are an Irish-based company that set up their 2D studio in Manchester specifically to produce Nella. And again, this is something that we feel like fits the Milkshake brand and it fits the Nick Jr. brand. So it's something that is going to sweep across both.
And how does that work in terms of windowing? Who gets it first? How do you coordinate that piece?
Each project is different. So each project we take in turn and figure out what's the windowing strategy and depending on the deal and depending on, what we've got to move forward with.
Can we expect more from Nick and Milkshake as a kind of combined entity in terms of production?
Yes.
So a pitch could come through the Milkshake side equally, or would it typically come through you, James, and then?
I think it could come through either route, couldn't it?
It comes through either route. And in fact, we've had Whisper, which came through Milkshake and then went back into the US. So it's already been demonstrated in different ways via that channel as well. So, and we have 2 or 3 things in development now jointly with them that will then find their way on both.
There's enough kind of crossover in terms of the values and the demos described that there are certain sweet spots, aren't there?
Yeah.
Nina, I know you wanted to talk about Ride because that's a slightly a non-traditional model, at least, isn't it? Why don't you set that one up for us?
It's a great model. This is a live-action production that we're doing with Breakthrough and Buccaneer, which is based in the UK, and Breakthrough in Canada. So it's been, yes, a UK-Canadian co-production, but what's really interesting about this live-action production is that it has been shot 60% on set in Canada and 40% on location in Northern Ireland. So it comes together to feel as an incredibly authentic piece of work where it's a North American girl named Kit Bridges who moves herself and her father to a traditional British riding school with all the bells and whistles. And we find this sort of fish out of water story evolve as she learns to ride. But the way that we produced this was something quite groundbreaking for us and made use of 2 very different creative teams on both sides of the pond to give birth to one cohesive content.
So that's a UK-Canada co-production for YTV, is it Canada, I think?
This is with our partners.
And when does it launch?
This is launching in the US. Well, we're still figuring out when it's going to be launching, but it'll be sort of the end of this year.
And do you find that North American voices work well with UK audiences and vice versa? Is that sometimes an issue?
It's not. I mean, if you look at the history of Nick and all of our channels, there's always been a kind of a healthy mixture of both. As I said earlier, sort of pepper. Some parts of our channel are very American, but I think whatever works with the show. And we can actually revoice things to make them appropriate to UK audiences, or just leave them alone and let them be, as American as they need to be.
And what are your specific programming needs at the moment? I mean, it's very clear, big international outlook. Are there certain gaps for a certain type of animated show, live action show, short form piece? What should producers be mindful of in this moment in time?
I think a great idea is a great idea. If you have a great idea, bring us a great idea. I mean, I think that's the first thing. I think that you just don't know how they're going to come and now what way they're going to come in. Clearly, though, our focus is across the 4 genres of Big Nick live action, Big Nick animation, preschool, and also TV movies. So those 4 areas are areas that we play quite directly in. And certainly now, on top of list is the Big Nick animation push that we're looking to sort of 6 to 12 fill locally.
Are you commissioning short form?
Yes, we do a lot of short form. We have a lot of programs where we try and, again, find content in different ways. And so Alexi heads up a Nick Shorts program across preschool and Big Nick, where we commission 2-minute shorts and then produce them over a very quick period of time, test them, and then put them into long-form development and then an ultimate pickup. So it's a process that starts in January and delivers in by September, October, November, depending on how quick we go, and then we greenlight after that. So it's meant to get us off of the written page and into the visual page.
What's working for you, short form wise? What's really popped?
On our air, or
on YouTube or one of your
we have
sites?
It's funny, you can talk a little bit about Tinker, Shrimp and Dutch, which is a really great short form story that's been a local success for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of before my time, but I was aware of it before I got here, and it's a brilliant little series, animated series about a langoustine and a primate, as you do, it's just funny, it's sharp, it's very quick, the pace is brilliant. It also, has the voice of a guy called John Boyega, who some of you may not have heard of, but he's quite big now. But exactly. He's our buddy. But it's, it's just like, if you look at it, it's really fun, and it represents, once again, it goes back to everything that Nick's trying to do in terms of those kind of filters, those kind of, that recipe it delivers, so.
And there are tax breaks for animation and live action. Has that changed your outlook in terms of what you can do out of the UK?
Definitely. It's made it, easier to produce here. It's grown and supported the producers who desperately needed the support because of, other countries doing such and us having to sort of go there in order to produce there. So I think it's been a really fantastic plus, and we're embracing it fully.
Does it mean that the mix of US and UK content, for example, has shifted over time because of that? Is there a tangible difference?
In terms of how much UK stuff we can produce, definitely. I mean, we're definitely upping our slate of production. We've always produced globally, so in fairness, that's always been a big part of the initiative. But having the tax incentives here allows us to give birth to something like Ride, which just sweetens the Canadian pot a bit, and then being able to produce on local soil.
And we can see at a Viacom level, there's a real willingness or determination to reach out through OTT, direct-to-consumer services and apps and so forth. How does that apply to the Nickelodeon piece in terms of reaching out to kids outside of linear TV?
Well, it's been talked about already, but, the sort of growth of kind of tablets, mobile devices, and sort of desktop has been phenomenal over the last few years, whereby sort of most kids are using these if they don't own them themselves. So it's very, very important that we are in those spaces, and that we will continue to do that. But it goes back to what we're really looking for are shows, kind of quality shows that can kind of emerge and kind of build out into those spaces.
Do you have a sense of the how people connect with Nick and Nick shows? Is it? Can you quantify how much is linear still, and how much is digital and on demand and such like?
There's a lot of statistics that are out in the public space, but we do our own research. And what's very, very clear to our audience that we talk to is that they are utilising these devices on a daily basis. But the device they use most every day is the TV screen. That's the go-to, where they go for live long-form content.
But I think it's also important to remember that kids are platform agnostic.
Yeah.
Us of the older generations are not so platform agnostic, but kids really are. So they don't care where they get their content from, and it's our job to be everywhere that they are. Certainly with the lead, big screen being our mainstay. But we do a lot of work where we produce for digital first, and then we've got a series, Welcome to the Wayne, which started out as a digital series and is now going into long-form series on linear. We're working a lot on a new sort of smart app, smart TV, smart episode approach, where we can create original interactive content for the app from the start that's produced originally for that. And obviously Tinker, Shrimp, and Dutch is another example. And then all the shorts that we make are on the app globally. So, we're sort of everywhere they are. And I think it is, coming in with an idea, it is great if you have an idea for how it can live everywhere.
And then in the same way James is here, Nina, could we be in Rome or somewhere else in Europe? Are there channel-specific people commissioning? Is that what that international group gets together to decide on?
Yes.
In all of the major Western European territories?
And so many of the minor. So yeah, it's everywhere, and we have a footprint in every sort of region, and it's really built to run the channels, but also source the content and source the creatives, and our team works very closely with each one of those programming heads to find talent. It was funny, I was just at Annecy a couple weeks ago, and we met with a lot of different people from a lot of different countries, and it was great to be able to say, go to your local rep in Australia, or go to your local rep in France, or whatever it may be, and we sort of have doors in everywhere.
And you mentioned the short form animation earlier. Does that, where you get stuff to screen quickly, you can turn stuff around quickly, is that very much a testing process for something that leads on to something else? What have we seen come through? Yeah,
I mean, it is a testing process, but it's also a process, as Cecilia mentioned, to see how it's a conversation. We're dating, I suppose, and it's just trying to see how you tell a story. Do you have a vision and a voice? Are you naturally funny? We try to remain fairly hands-off in terms of the process to see what your natural bent is on telling a 2-minute funny piece of character-driven work. And then out of that, we will shortly be able to announce a pickup that's come out of that. So we're in the sort of early years of it. So it's now just starting to domino effect on the pickups.
And to wrap up in terms of finished programs, who handles acquisitions out of the UK, James? Does that fall under you as well?
Yeah, that comes into the same team, actually. Same thing. Everything goes through the same process. We'll come to, if it's UK specific, we'll come to our team.
Okay, good stuff. Do you have a question?
Nina and James, both of you guys mentioned research quite a bit. I'm just wondering if there's anything surprising in terms of insights, in terms of what kids are up to. If you've got your ears to the ground, anything that sort of surprised you in terms of habits or attitudes, in terms of what kids are up to, not just in consumption, but just in general, you might want to share with us and your closest competitors, obviously.
Well, I think the platform agnostic thing was one thing that was really interesting for us. I think we all sort of knew it, but I don't think we realized how deep and wide that runs. The other thing, which is what gave birth to Ride, was this notion that kids really would love to talk to animals. So although we're not literally having her do that, there's this definite connection between them. So the research that we get informs how we make the content. So it's definitely an important part of our living day.
Well,
yeah. Should we go for 2 questions anymore? Okay. No. Just a final one from me, and then if I can. Does the EU UK stuff, does that impact on planning, programming planning, channel plans and so forth at this stage?
I think this is going to be talked about a lot, and just to echo really what everyone else said, as far as we're concerned, in this period of uncertainty, it's business as usual. We've got very hungry channels. We still need content across all of our channel brands. So, we're just kind of sticking to the road at the moment until, everything is clearer.
Good stuff. James, thank you very much. Almost a few months in for joining us. And Nina, great to have you as well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, guys.